we need. So I would love to bring up our next guest, Wayne Liebman, the founder of Blue Voter Guide. Let's just get right to it, Wayne. Are you just like super impressed with that presentation? And were you also listening intently?
You guys are awesome. That was amazing. I am so glad to be here among you. Yeah.
Well, and your history and an old peace hippie. Would love to have the old, activist your whole life. I think this room is really full of activists like yourself, and we're so grateful because you're in tune with what's going on. So let's talk about this Blue Voter Guide. Let's get straight to it. And we're really talking about this particular vote because of the confusion with we were redistricted. The ballot is a challenge. We have a new rules around how to fill out the absentee vote, ballot and so on. And you went ahead and you are working on this Blue Voter Guide, and explain to us why this was important to you, why you felt this was really necessary.
Should I go with my slides?
Go with it. Do your slides and tell your story. Let's rock and roll.
Okay.
Let's go. I love your presentation, and you could tell us your story. Go.
So thank you so much. Why is Blue Voter Guide different from all other voter guides? Because it's laser focused on turnout, and it works by solving the number one voting problem, which is confusion about who to vote for, especially down ballot. You go to bluevoterguide.org, you enter your address, and we show you what's on your ballot. And for each candidate, judge, and measure, you'll see a list of endorsements from trusted progressive organizations. It's an X-ray of who supports whom. So you can make informed, confident choices in minutes instead of hours. Save it, print it, share it. You've unleashed your full voting power so we can win up and down ballot in all the states that are active now and all 50 states in 2024. It's partisan, meaning we don't offer information about Republicans. We list them, but you can't choose them when you build your guide. Now, this is where we started in 2018. It was a one-page grid on the SoCal Blue website. Each row was a ballot measure. Everybody was very confused in California about their ballot measures. And each column was an endorsing organization. And so we filled in the boxes with a yes or no so you could look across a row and get the picture. It's the X-ray of who supports what. And this was wildly successful, very popular. Thousands used it. It had never been done before, to our knowledge. And it was different because it was partisan and it worked by endorsements. So we figured we were onto something, which gave us another idea. We decided to do it for the entire ballot. We shopped around for a national data vendor who collected the election information. We signed a contract to purchase their data. Then we set about building the website and researching, that's our part, the endorsers, which we added to the display. Now, the vendor initially did not have every down ballot race, but they had all statewide races and state legislative races, and they're constantly increasing their scope, and their ambition is to give us data for every down ballot race by 2024, but they're not quite there yet. I'll say more about that in a bit. So this is what Blue Voter Guide looks like now, live on the web, active in 8 states. I'm going to show you more in a bit, but I want to say why we think it's so important. So, trick question. Who won the 2016 election? So here's the Orange Menace. He got 27% of eligible voters, about 63 million. Hillary did better. She got 28.5% initially, nearly 66 million, although she lost in the Electoral College. But there's another group. People who could have voted but didn't. 100 million of them, they won the election. They beat Trump, they beat Hillary. And the number of non-eligible voters is falling, but it's still considerable. So the Knight Foundation did a deep dive into non-voters by looking at a large sample. They called this the 100 Million Project. And here we're looking at the barriers to voting reported by young voters. On the bottom left, we see over a quarter of them didn't vote because of uncertainty about the candidates. And then there are the people on the top right who needed help telling real news from fake news. And there may be some overlap, but what this is telling you is that from a quarter to a half of young people had trouble voting because they didn't feel they had enough information or they didn't trust the information they had. So the Knight study broke down the reasons further, summed up in a t-shirt. Young people were not engaging with the news. It had become noise. Here's an article from the LA Times about a young guy who didn't vote. This is what he said, quote, "I don't know how to do this. It's like a huge step. I don't want to make the wrong decision." And this is John Della Volpe. He's director of polling at Harvard Kennedy School. He's been studying young voters for 2 decades. And this is what he told Simon Rosenberg on Hopium a few weeks ago. Gen Z voters want to be perfect and have all their homework done, or else they will leave a ballot item blank. Wow. So how does it work? So this is a screen grab of what the guide looks like on the web. I've entered an address you can see there. And this is what comes up when you click build your guide. And you can see, I couldn't squeeze everything onto one screen. There's a bond measure at top, but I'm scrolling down, and the person who lives at this address will see all these races. So if you want more information about the candidates, you can actually click on them. And then if you want more information about the endorsing organizations, you can click on an endorsing icon. But these are the endorsing organizations that we list. This is the end of that ballot. And I want to show you a couple more things. The school board races are nonpartisan, so we use a gray background for that. But we can show who endorses the candidates, and we can describe them. So you can see this one is a Democrat, and we let you know that. And you can see their endorsements. This is the Republican, so it helps you to differentiate. Further down in the House of Delegates race, this is a partisan race. So the Democratic candidate is blue, and you can see the endorsements. We do have a red bar. You can click on it if you want, and you can see the name of the Republican, but we don't have any information about him. You can't select him when you're building your ballot. We're not interested in helping people vote for Republicans. So I need to mention that this isn't the complete ballot for this address. There are some down ballot races that our data vendor hasn't gotten to at the moment. They're increasing constantly. But some will be missing. So we have a notice at the top of the review page, which is next. And as I mentioned, the vendor is still planning to add some races, and they're aiming to cover all races in 2024. So fingers crossed for that. So when you've made your selections, you click review your choices, and this is the final page. And it neatly lists all of your selections, and the message at the top explains that this may not show you all the races you can vote in. So you can go back and modify, print, save, and share. And there you have Blue Voter Guide.
I love it. I love it. And such a necessary thing. And that your big effort is going to be building this for 2024, all 50 states. That's a huge effort. So we wish you well on that effort. And I'm so glad you're able to be here today. If you could stay in the after chat, we'd love to have you in there.
I'll be here.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.